Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Brother Cepeda Munoz, aka Minister Cepeda, back at you guys with another video. I am the founder and operator of Holistic Ministry, which the name of it is Tree of Life Outreach. So visit my website at treeoflifeoutreach.com. It's a holistic ministry, guys, and my goal and my calling is to provide you guys with nourishment for your mind, your body, and your spirit. And I do so by balancing and synthesizing philosophical, experiential-based philosophical consultations, ISSA certified fitness training, and then I also I'm very deeply into youth mentoring, youth and young adult mentoring and counseling. So visit the website if you know anybody that's interested in the services. My contact information is there. Also, make sure that you read the bio. The bio may not be for a lot of you guys, and I'm okay with that. But whether it's for you or not, perhaps you know someone who could benefit from that type of story, or just being encouraged and inspired regardless. As I see it, it's a beautiful all-around story. It doesn't matter what walk of life you come from. If you like being inspired, then it's a beautiful story, and I do it to give my Heavenly Father His recognition for what He's done in my life. So visit the website, and if you have any questions, give me a call. Do indeed like the video and subscribe. Today, again, because as I previously mentioned, I provide something to nourish and stimulate your mind, your body, and your spirit. So today we're going to touch on your body a little bit. I get this quite often, guys. How often should I work out? How often should I train with weights? How often should I do cardio? Not a lot of people, or by comparison, I'll say, there's not as many people doing flexibility training. But that's a key part of it too. I mean, what's the use of being big and strong if you can't bend over and tie your shoes, or you can't scratch your back in a way that you probably should be? What's the use in having all the endurance in the world if when you go to do a certain exercise, it creates pain and discomfort? So I'm a huge fan of flexibility training as well. So I get this, and I have some clients that I do specific flexibility training for also. Actually was just training a 12-year-old. Her mom and dad brought her to me, and she needed to get better for some gymnastic things that she's engaged with. And I haven't seen any footage of her, or haven't seen her actually doing the gymnastics, but I've heard she's pretty good. So in any event, I get this. How often should I train? And ultimately, it's going to depend on, as you guys know, your schedule, your availability. It's going to depend on what your goals and what your interests are, as well as how it is that you're training. With my personal training method, with me and probably about 15-20% of my clients, I'd say, we train 7 days a week. Train 7 days a week. And this is what I recommend to each and every person. Train 7 days a week. Now, if your schedule allows you to, if your finances allow you to, if you're utilizing a trainer, then you should train 7 days a week. This is my recommendation. Again, once you go to the website, treeoflifeoutreach.com, read the bio, read over the services. At the very bottom of the page where the services are, there's a link. It's going to take you to the fitness arm of my ministry. And so I don't have all the answers, but there is some information up there about how long I've been training, which is just over 40, about 43 years. And that's how long I've been actually training. injury free, never had an injury. The days that I've missed in the gym from all that time, you can definitely count on a handful, but you probably can actually count on one hand the amount of times in the days that I've actually missed over that period of time. Obviously, you are going to be conscious of the fact that you're training 7 days a week. You're going to be mindful to use precaution, but the main thing that people are taken aback by this, or are kind of caught off guard by the notion of training 7 days a week, is because they've always heard this myth and this theory about overtraining, and that's exactly what it is. It's a myth. To borrow the phrase of the great legendary C.T. Fletcher, and shout out to you, C.T., by the way. It's a mythological creature. There's no such thing. There's no such thing. And it's just like anything else. You can bring about overtraining. You could bring it about, but there's no such thing as overtraining within itself. There's only a such thing as undereating and underresting. So if you undereat and you underrest, you don't get enough rest. And what I mean by rest, sleep, then you can overtrain. You don't have to rest your body. Your body rests when you sleep. And again, it's not for everybody. And it's for the guys who, I train a few power lifters, and I got a couple of those guys. They're amongst that 15, maybe 20% of my client base who actually train 7 days a week, doing powerlifting training. And I design the routines, and I'm very selective and careful about putting different muscle groups with different muscle groups and cycling that up. And obviously, if you're training 7 days a week, you're not going in there lifting all the heavy weights that you can as if you were hitting that body part once or twice a week. I also recommend that if you can't do 7 days a week, then you do time frame training, which is to say you document the amount of hours that you're going to spend on that muscle group. So if you can't go 7 days a week, depending on you, for the larger body parts, say for a back, that's obviously going to be different than it is for legs. So for your back, you just depending on where you are, you could go from 6 to 8 to 15 to 20 hours each week on your back. So then that means obviously you're going to be putting a lot of times your per day training sessions are going to be longer. But I'm a huge fan of volume. I'm a huge fan of intensity. I'm a huge fan of exercise sequencing, and I'm a huge fan of frequency. So frequency, you go in there as often as you possibly can. You train intensely as often as much as you can. You know, you keep that intensity rate. Obviously, when you need a break, you take a break. But if it's one of those situations where, man, a break sure would be good, but you can push through, then push through. So you got frequency, getting in there as often as possible. You have the intensity, short breaks, pushing through. Obviously, you'll be using not as heavy weights as some guy who, again, is hitting the body part once or twice a week. And you have the sequence. I'm a huge fan of sequencing, the way you strategically put your exercises. Say, and I get the question a lot of times, how can I get bigger arms? Well, first of all, is there any idea that you have about your arms? Oh, just bigger. Okay, so then that person's probably going to be doing just more of this exercise while being prepped with this exercise and then post that exercise. Somebody says, well, I want to work on my peak. I want to work on separating, the separation in my biceps or my triceps or whatever. Then the sequence in which he does the rope pull down, the kickbacks, the overhead extension, things of this nature, is going to be in a different sequencing pattern. So frequency, get there as often as you can, hit the intensity, hit the sequence, and then hit the volume, which is to say the amount of time. Most people refer to volume as how many reps. My volume plan is about the duration, how much time you're going to put on that. So if you're one of these big guys who wants to go in and just throw all the weights around, then obviously you probably want to keep doing what it is you're doing. But if you want to step outside the box and really challenge yourself, it doesn't matter to me how big or how strong you are. My method, my technique, and just depending on you and how long you've been training, I'll own you in the gym from a trainer standpoint, or from a if we're working out together, I'll own you in just a matter of time with the weights and the sequencing and the intensity, and you'll be surprised that you may normally go in there and put 315 on the bench and 405, whatever it is, and just really get down. But then I'll come along and say, no, let's basically cut that weight in half. And in, again, just depending on where you are, 30, 45 minutes, I'll own you. You'll be begging for mercy. Trust me. So if you want to step outside the box, I've never been a fan of huge weights to begin with. I've always felt the lighter weights, the frequency, the intensity, things of that nature, because your muscles have just barely recovered and they're required to do more. And when you break it all down, who's really lifting the heavier weights? This guy who lifts 405 once every 7 minutes, or this guy who lifts 200, basically every 60 seconds. This guy doing 405 for maybe 10 reps, or this guy doing 200 for about 20 reps, 15, 18, 20 reps every 60 seconds. So that's been my philosophy on it. And you calculate at the end of that session who really lifted the most weights. This guy lifted 405, he lifted it X amount of times. This guy lifted 200 for X amount of time, and then calculate that weight up and see who's really lifting the most weights. Also, with what I found at a very early age, I picked up my first set of dumbbells at the age of 10 and got really serious about it at the age of 13. And here it is, May 2020, I'm about to be 54 in just a couple weeks. So all that's been injury-free, all that's been using the same system, which was taught to me by a guy who was using it, who gave me the foundation for it. Obviously, over that amount of time, it's grown, it's evolved, I've adjusted and changed some things up, took some things out, added some things up as time has gone along. But the concept of training often with all these different variables, sequencing and things like that was handed to me by a gentleman who had been doing it himself for about 15 or 20 years. And all the different sports and stuff like that, if you go to the fitness arm of the website, all the different sports that I played, I got that from my mom and dad. Peace and blessings be upon my mom and dad, because they were athletically inclined as well, and they played all the sports and they lifted weights and all that too. But I got with a guy who's a bodybuilder who kind of took me under his wing, showed me the ropes about nutrition, training, principles, his specific philosophies, posing, and all of this different stuff. And I became a bodybuilder myself, and all natural. Of course, I promote all natural bodybuilding, all natural lifestyle. That's not to take anything away from the guys who use juice or steroids, whatever you want to call it, because even though they take that, they still have to bust their butt. So you can't just say, oh, they took steroids and then sneezed at it. No, they took steroids. That's what they wanted to do, and either way, they had to go in there and grind. So it's just for me personally, this lifestyle that I've always lived with regards to weight training, exercising, and things of this nature, especially when it comes to competing. I think you should be all natural, but to each his own. So yeah, the other thing about heavyweights that I found was, number one, all the guys who were lifting heavy weights, whether they admit to it or not all of them, but the vast majority of them have all kinds of health issues down the road. Typically, when it comes to the joints, ligaments, tendons, things of that nature, they have issues around the board in that type of area. So that's another thing I found out, and another things that I found out over all these years. And I actually found this out kind of early in the beginning of the 7 days a week training, and that was, I looked at the challenge of the lighter weights, because with the heavier weights, what I began to think about it was, you're going to either be able to get it or you ain't. Somebody's going to have to help you get it. You're going to need a spotter, and you're going to be able to give it your all. But that's it. You can either get it or you can't. With the lighter weights, you can get more. You can get more. It's just if you can take that burn, if you're willing to burn some more. So if you're willing to really, really push at going to get it. The heavyweights, it's like, man, I'm giving it everything. You're giving it everything, but you simply can't get it. That's in the story. But this, you can get some more. Come on, let's go. So that's why I prefer the lighter weights, and that caused me to get to a point to where I really, really enjoy the 7 day a week protocol, because I can really, really do detailed work. I can do the muscle building work. I can do the shaping, the toning. I could go in one day, and whether it's me or someone I'm preparing for a show, and just have them work on just different exercises and sequencing different exercises to actually help with their muscle bellies, their muscle tie-offs, muscle separations, and things of this nature, which can actually be done to a greater degree than somebody who's just lifting heavy weights or just going in there. Well, they're going to do some barbell curls, and then they're going to do some preacher curls, and then they're going to do some upright rows, and then some rear delts, and then some front raises. Had they known that they could get 3, 5, 10 times more benefits if they strategically place one of those exercises before or another, depending on what they're trying to do. For example, if they're trying to really, really focus on their rear delts, then they might want to put, say, some front raises or some upright rows or some partial rear delts exercises prior to just the rear delts. And they want to take that type of approach. I don't want to give too much away, because I did have some clients who when I had my old YouTube channel, they noticed that a lot of the stuff that they were paying for, they saw me basically giving it away on YouTube. So, but that's the gist of it, guys. The ability to know what it is that you're trying to get out the deal, and knowing that, well, if I do this and then do that, then when I zero in on this, then I have an edge. So getting back to the meat of the matter, I would recommend working out 7 days a week if you're able to. If not, then work out for extended period of times and decide that you're going to. You guys can contact me if you have any questions based on your specific needs. So this is obviously a very generalized video in this regards, because it's basically too much information for me to say, okay, everybody do this. That's just not how I do things. I know I see a lot of videos where people are saying this is the best exercise, do this and do that. And my experience has shown me that what are you trying to do? What is it that you're trying to do? If you just want, nice legs and that's it, then obviously you can do a standard training, session for your legs. And my motto has also always been, if you want to look like everybody else, then just train like everybody else. The same thing when it comes to your diet. If you want to look like everybody else, just eat like everybody else. And I'm not talking about everybody else in society. I'm talking about everybody else in society, everybody else in a particular competitive field that you may be in, everybody that's training for that particular body part or whatnot. If you want to be like them, then just train like them. But if you want to be different, then you have to know these little nuggets, these little secrets, and you definitely have to do anything different. This is how Frank Zane was able to go on stage and slay people. As like he slayed Arnold Schwarzenegger on stage, slayed him, and I think Arnold had him by 50 or 70 pounds. So if you can train 7 days a week, do so, and don't worry about the injury. Obviously, again, call me if you have any questions, or leave a comment, and I'll send you some more detailed information just based on what it is that you are trying to do. But 7 days a week, it'd be good for you. I tell people, why would you train 7 days a week? Well, your body rests when you sleep. Okay. Do your eyes take a day off? Okay. Do your heart take a day off? Do your lungs, do your digestive system? Do anything that's on your hearing? Do your hearing need a rest? Your heart is working 24/7. It doesn't need a rest, and neither does your body. It's been a myth. It's a mythological creature, and dating back to the most ancient of times, when human beings were fit, way back before they became what we would call domesticated, when humans were just living basically when they were foraging out in the forest. They was basically working out every day, whatever their their lifestyle required. That's what they were doing. Long walks, lots of climbing, lots of digging, lots of carrying heavy objects, whatever it was. They did it every single day, day in and day out. And the same thing remained true up through the part when people became what we would call more civilized. Those who were gladiators, who were all these different functions where they needed to be strong. The rowers who rowed the boat, all these different things, they worked them day in and day out, every single day. The slaves, black slaves, the slaves when Europeans who were caught and put into slavery by some of their people who were also about the same nationality. The slaves worked all day, every day. The people in the castle worked all day, every day. Every day. So be encouraged to know that. I'll close with this tidbit. If you'll notice that some of those who have the biggest quads in the world, these are the people who are on those bobsled teams, say for example. These people who have some of the best, say, biceps on the planet, those who are into gymnastics have some of the best, what we call guns, have some of the best guns on the planet. Some of the people who have some of the best back development on the planet is those who are in those rowing teams. Some people who have the best calves on the planet, those would be people who are into ballerina, male or female. What do all these people have in common? is they work on that body part day in, day out, for long stretches of time. I mean, long periods of time. Each session is a long period of time. And they do it day in and day out. I'm pretty sure they don't train 7 days a week. But by comparison, they're training, I guarantee you, close to 7 days a week. And with the way that I train and the way that I train my clients, those who have the time and they have the finances and they have the grit and the drive, and they've seen results that they couldn't imagine. They train day in, day out, injury free, and they've really gotten to the point to where, whether it's fat loss, muscle building, strength, endurance, flexibility, they're doing some things that they can't believe. So the website I haven't updated in a while, but if you want some up to date referrals, I have some shows that I've done that since then that are not posted on the website, just because I once upon a time was putting all of my energy into the fitness arm of the ministry, because that pays a lot of my bills, and I needed to find that balance. I'm a huge fan of balance, so I had to find that balance and generate money from my philosophical consultations, as well as some of the inspirational and motivational teaching that I do, so I could spread it out the way I'm called to spread it out, and no longer be just dependent on the fitness training to pay all of my bills. So when I, took the step back and started to focus on some of the other areas, I just haven't paid much attention to updating the website, but I do have up-to-date referrals, up-to-date photos of more recent shows or whatnot. But that's it, guys. If your intestinal tract is working 7 days a week, your body part, your ears, you can say, well, these things that aren't put under stress. Then do your research once again, because your ears is not just sitting there just hearing things. This is why people hearing go bad. It takes a certain function. It takes a certain operational mechanism for it to work. So it's not just sitting there like a lump on a log. It's being utilized. And the same thing with your eyes, and you actually use your muscles every day. You actually use them every day, so you're going to need them every day. And I think you get better results. I think it builds up endurance, it builds up tolerance, and it builds you up overall from the inside out. If you can't, again, do 7 days a week, try and stretch those, the timing that you spend on each body part each week. Try to stretch that out. Maybe you just start off where you at and say, well, how much time did I spend on my legs this week? Well, I did an hour on Monday, and that was it. Well, you did an hour on Monday, or you did an hour on Monday and an hour on Thursday. Okay, well now, let's see if you can do an hour and 10 minutes, and then an hour and 10 minutes on Thursday. If you can't increase the amount of days, see if you can increase the amount of time. And if you can't do it that way, because you always have the same amount of time, hit your days, and then on the other days that you normally wouldn't throw in no legs, just in between sets, go start doing some exercises for your legs to get whatever added bonus that you can get from working them out at that point. So that's what I have for you guys. I'm grateful that you guys tuned in to the channel. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and again, if you guys want something specifically designed for you, I'll assess your fitness level, see where you're at there, how often you've been training, how long do you train, what weights are you using, and things of this nature. Basically, just a real broad assessment, and then I can give you some more generalized information that, although it may be generalized, it will be more catered for you. And then obviously, if you want to invest in some services, then you could just call me or contact me via email or whatnot. Leave a comment. I can converse with you, and then if you want to invest in some services, then it will be crisp and clean and catered directly for you, which is what I do. Same thing with meal plans. I'll do a video here shortly about meal plans. I have a list of videos in which I do them on that order. Whenever the Spirit gives me something to do a video about, then I write it down and then I go down the sheet and get it. But I'm pretty sure I have on there something about nutrition. Not sure if it's on the agenda for today, but I will get to it. And meanwhile, you guys have any questions, give me a shout out. Thanks again for watching, guys. Whatever you can do, do it. Whatever you can't do, try to do it. Give it your all, no matter what it is, so long as it's something that's constructive. Again, Brother Minister Cepeda, I always like to finish with the same my same mantra, which is it's my mantra, and it's actually what I live by. So if you're feeling bad, go out and make somebody else feel good, and I guarantee you'll feel better. If you're feeling good, and go out and make somebody who's feeling bad feel good, then you'll go from feeling good to feeling phenomenal. That's just the way this thing works, guys. So thanks again for tuning in. I love you guys. Stay blessed because y'all are blessed. Peace.